after the Ford deal shut down, my dad decided to stay in the engine business. So we moved from our location on the west side of Indianapolis to kind of a little farther east on the west side, and kept Louis Meyer Incorporated open to shop, and he just did outside work. Well, one day he was approached by George Bignotti, and Bignotti said, "Hey," he goes, "I've got an oil millionaire, Pat Patrick, and he wants to run a race team, and I'd like to have my race team connected with your engine shop." So my dad and George made a deal, and we had Louis Meyer Incorporated doing all of Patrick Racing's engines, and then George Bignotti was doing all the chassis on the other building. So that grew into, finally Patrick came to my dad and said, "I want my own engine shop. I don't want you doing other guys' motors." So he bought Louis Meyer Incorporated and turned the entire business into Patrick Racing. So I was with Patrick Racing almost 14 years. I worked there building engines and doing stuff.
You've been building engines since you were what,
10 years old?
10?
Yeah. In fact, it was funny because most of the guys start out, you start on lawnmower engines, and you work your way up and all that stuff. I started out on IndyCar motors. I started out on double head cam Ford.
Yeah, so you didn't start out with a 3.5 horsepower Briggs and Stratton. You
I was lucky.
You started out with an IndyCar motor at 10, so can't hardly work up from there.
Yeah.
Guess you kind of worked down from there, huh? Yeah. That's really a cool story, and what a beautiful shop you have. This look, how new, old? How long you been there?
We've been here for 3 years. It's we're out in the middle of the cornfields and everything, but no, we're it's getting there. We're doing a lot of organization. We tore down. We had to get new chassis for the Road to Indy cars, so we have the old chassis sitting over there, and we've got some friends' cars here, and we got a lot of projects going on. So it's. I
want to show you something over here.
Sure, absolutely.
Project we're working on.
Is this the? Oh my God, that looks like a
Watson Roadster.
Oh my God.
Roy Carruthers started this project, and Roy has had some health issues, so he wasn't able to finish it. So we went ahead and got it from him, and it's what we're going to do is finish it up and run it in the SVCA stuff and the vintage stuff. But we've also been thinking about it, and as what we may do is there's not a lot of guys building Watson Roadsters like kits. So we're thinking about maybe building some Watson Roadster kits and offering them to other guys that want to build their own cars, and then their chassis will be done. All they got to do is fit their motor in it and stuff and go.
This is an A.J. Watson Roadster. Is it to his specs? Is this
what
a bare chassis would have looked like back in the day?
Yeah, we have his blueprints.
Oh, really?
And we have.
How do you get A.J. Watson's blueprints?
Well, we had to hook up with Roy.
We had to hook up with Roy. Roy
Carruthers.
Yeah, he knows.
I knew, I'm not an expert, but when I turned the corner here, I knew I was looking at a Roadster chassis. I wasn't so sure it was going to be an A.J. Watson, but I mean...
We have the nose and the tail, which is fiberglass. Someday I'd like to do, aluminum, but for right now, just for cost and ease, everything can be done in fiberglass. So.
Yeah, I got you. I can tell that says A.J. Watson right there, that front end. That's A.J. Watson's pattern that he made it.
Yes, it is.
It was he started making the second batch of cars like later on in his life, and this is the pattern that he used, made off the original. And
what am I looking at though? Pattern of what?
The engine plate.
I got you. Firewall.
Bell housing the engine.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. When we lived in California, my dad and I, every once in a while, I'd go with him to A.J. Watson's shop. And,
Now, his shop was in California?
Oh, yeah.
I did not know that.
Yes, it was.
I thought it was here in Indy somewhere.
No. Well, it was years later.
Okay.
But originally it was in California. And we go over there, and he'd have about 6 of these things lined up. And, he just, that guy could spit out cars faster than anybody I ever saw. He was just such a craftsman, and so quick at doing it. And I was real little, so at that time I didn't really appreciate everything that was going on. But now, you think about it, and what they did with what they had was pretty amazing. It's just
like I said earlier, I would have given anything to have sat down with your great grandfather and listened to what he had to say. Coming from that era, I go on and on about this, and I'm like a broken record, but I mean, I know you guys know that era when they didn't have the cages and they didn't have power steering. They had to reach out and pump up the mechanical fuel pump, and then they had to reach out the other side and grab a handbrake, and they often died doing it. I don't know why they did it, but to me, it was so fast. They had a leather helmet on, for crying out loud, and you could see their face.
The 14 car that he won with in 28, in 1978 was his 50th anniversary at the Speedway. So on the morning of the race, they let him drive it around the track. Well, Carl Kaiser was the head of the museum then, and my grandpa and Carl were good friends. So they bring the car out. My grandpa gets in it, puts his helmet on and everything. Carl goes, Louis goes, take it easy in this thing. He goes, because it's got the old tires on it and all.
Was he wearing a full face helmet?
No. He had his cloth helmet on.
He like a Cromwell?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So anyways, he
cool.
goes out and he takes a couple laps, and he said, you know, Butch, he goes, when I came off of turn 2, he goes, it felt pretty good. So I went ahead and got into it and got her up pretty fast when I came out because I didn't want Carl to get mad. So after the run was over, he came in the pits. So Carl walks up and he goes, Louis, he goes, so how did you enjoy your ride again in the 14 car? My guy goes, Carl, he goes, let me tell you something. He goes, in 1928, the torque tube was leaking oil on my shoes. And here it is, 1978, and you still haven't got it fixed.
That's funny.
And Carl was like, get out of the car.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
You know, it's no wonder they came and packed the arenas they raced at. I mean, can you imagine being able to see the expression on a driver's face? I mean, you can't even see the driver. You see the little bubble of their helmet, but you can't see them. You don't know what they're doing in there. You can't even see them turn the wheel anymore.
Well, just the stuff that they went through to get to the races, like, you know, the drivers and stuff. Like, you know, I remember my great-grandfather telling me a story where they're coming from California to Indy, and they didn't have a trailer for the car. It was on tow bars. So, I mean, it's running on its own wheels behind, you know, their car, their passenger car. And the tow bar breaks and the race car goes into a ditch on the side of the road. So they had to go down the road to a farmhouse, get some mules to pull the car out of the ditch.
Yeah, the guy didn't have a tractor.
Yeah.
Oh my
mules.
God.
So it's
What year are we talking?
early 30s.
Early 30s.
30s,
yeah.
Wow. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm the Indianapolis 500 winner, and I need to borrow your mule.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Oh, were you fascinated by your grandfather, or someone else might be, or was?
Yeah, I respected my grandfather because, you know, you could tell, I mean, everything he touched was successful. I mean, he was successful as a race driver. He was successful in business, in both, you know, race engine businesses. I mean, and then on the grandpa side, he was just a great man. I mean, we went fishing together, went hunting together, did a lot of things together, and I couldn't ask for a better grandpa, you know?
In his later years in life, when he would go to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and you're getting generations away now, you know, did people still know who he was?
A lot of times today, I'll go somewhere and meet somebody, and they'll go like, "Are you related to Louis Meyer that won the Indy 500 3 times?" And I'm like, "I mean,
That's a
yeah,
long
I
time ago.
am, you know." And then you gotta go through the story and all, but no, his legacy or whatever, his history is seems like it's gone a long time. You know, I mean, a lot of people still know what's going on. In fact, what was it the other night? They had a question on Jeopardy. Who was the first race driver to drink the milk in the Indy 500?
Oh my God!
And that was the other night on Jeopardy, and I'm like, jeepers, you know.
Wow.
But no, he did so many things, and like I say, just everything he touched was successful. He was a smart man.
We talked about drinking milk, and that was a story that really rang with me because winter in 1928 at the Brickyard, Louis Meyer won again in 1933 and 36. But at 33, it was not a tradition yet, but he took a big old giant swig of buttermilk, as I understand, in Victory Lane in 1933. Hence, the tradition was born, I guess.
In 36 was when the American Dairy Association saw it. And that's kind of how, you know, when it started to kick off was in 36. But yeah, in buttermilk, a lot of people are like, "Oh, yuck, buttermilk." But buttermilk back then was more like what whole milk is now. You know, just it was very, you know, I mean, on a hot day, some whole milk will quench your thirst. And it's
Sure.
good for me. So,
I love it.
But that's what, you know, that's what he drank. And you his mother would give it to him, when he was a kid, and it just kind of stuck with him. But no, American Dairy Association saw it, and he's holding up the 3-time winner, got the milk mustache, the whole thing, and it really didn't become a absolute tradition until the 50s. When they really came in, and it's like, okay, this is the way it's going to be at the Speedway. So, but a lot of drivers did it, up until then. But yeah, I can't remember. It was 50.
Yeah, something in the early
It's like
50s when I actually
52 or
started the
53
tradition.
when they really started doing it.
But the tradition of swigging milk in Victory Lane
Yes.
as the winner of the Indianapolis 500 was born with your great-grandfather
Yes. Yep.
with a big swig of little could he have known what he was starting there. A big swig of buttermilk in 1933.
In 1936, there was a couple other traditions that started.
Yeah.
Is not only the drinking the milk, but also that was the first year they gave the driver the pace car when he won the 500.
33, did you say?
36.
36,
That
I'm
was the
sorry.
first year.
Really?
And it was the first year they gave out the Borg Warner trophy. Now, it wasn't like a baby Borg like they give out now, but it was a plaque with like half the Borg on it, and then it said Borg Warner. So it was the first Borg Warner, first pace car, and the drinking milk. So it was
Wow.
3 traditions started there.
Did that first pace car he received, did that survive? I mean, is it
Now,
somewhere?
I'll tell you what, I asked him today, I said, so did you put it up on blocks and just
Yeah,
kind of
no.
keep it? He goes, that was my daily driver.
Oh,
Because
he-
we
he
go
put
to
a
your
hitch on
grandmother's
it.
using
He
that
beat
to
the
do
hell
all
out of
kinds
it then.
errands.
Yeah, because we towed the race car with it,
Yeah,
and
no,
just-
he-
So the car is no
Back then-
more?
Back then it wasn't,
Oh.
I got a car collection. Back then it was, I got a brand new Packard and I'm using it.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was
A Packard?
Yeah.
Wow.
36 Packard, yeah.
But you know what? How savvy. Did you call it the American Dairy Association?
Yes.
Yes.
How savvy of the American Dairy Association to jump all over that.
Yeah.
Hey, look at him with a buttermilk mustache.
Oh, yeah.
We can let's get behind this thing.
find a way to promote it.
They found out how important that tradition was when, I don't want to bring up any bad blood here, but when Emerson Fittipaldi, who owned
yeah.
orange orchards back home, and took a big swig of orange juice, and that didn't fly over so well.
No, it didn't.
You're
it didn't.
carving in on the Louis Meyer's tradition here, mister. Oh, but yeah.
Cool, with the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and all the traditions that are the back home again in Indiana, and all the
God,
things,
yeah.
and it's there's not many establishments or places that can say, hey, we've been doing the same thing and this is our tradition for this many years.
Oh my God. Is that still true? Does the winner still get the pace car?
Yes.
Yes. Oh,
Really?
every
So
year
that's
since
still.
36,
Oh my
the winner
God!
got the pace
I'm
car.
sure you
Yeah.
already said that, but
Yeah, every
I'm
year.
trying to take all this in. It's so. It's so
I'll tell
cool.
you what. You look back over the years, you got to really thank Mary Holman, because Mary Holman continued on all the traditions. She loved the Speedway so much, and I was very fortunate to be able to know her. And what an amazing lady! But she carried on those traditions and did so much for the sport. And it was such a sad day when she passed away, because that lady there, the Indy 500 was, she made it what it was.
Yeah, she knew how important those traditions were, and she wasn't about to let them go.
No.
Yeah.
No, to me, and I don't hold back on this, because I worked with ARCA for 25 years as their PR guy, and of course we did a lot of stock car racing, and I love stock car racing, and I like the new gen cars. I think they're putting on better races now, and I do love NASCAR, but I would always stand by, in my opinion, that the Indianapolis 500 is the most prestigious, most exciting, most famous race in the world. I don't know that anything, in my book, nothing rivals it. I don't care what it is. The tradition and the pageantry and everything that goes. You mentioned back home again in Indiana.
Yeah.
How many times do you get chills when that one comes out?
Exactly.
Oh yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, for sure.
And the thing, I love that place so much. The whole family loves it.
So do I.
It would be so cool. Everything's so big, big business and everything now. But like we're working with a couple partners, and they, we got talking the other day, and it's like we really wish, we could go back to being able to build your own car, go to the Speedway and try to make the race, instead of going, okay, I got to go to Delora, I got to go, get a Honda or a Chevy, how come, somebody like John Menard, he likes having his own engines, you know, and if you were allowed to build your own engine, he'd be back in IndyCar racing, you know. So it'd be really cool to be able, you know, in a shop like this, we, you know, get a car, you know, get parts to a car, build our own design, go there and try to make the race, and, you know, like how it used to be, you know.
Yeah, what you're saying is Frank Curtis or AJ Watson or Quinn Epperly could innovate their way to victory lane. You know, that they didn't have to follow the pattern, so to speak.
Exactly.
Yeah, those days, I can't see them coming back. I suppose they're gone. And that's true across the board. You look at sprint car racing, and many of the chassis are exactly the same. You're either using this chassis or that chassis. You're using that motor or this motor. You know, NASCAR Cup cars, you know, they're virtually IROC cars and all the same. They just change out the headlight decals and turn it into a Toyota.
When I was at Patrick Racing, we built our own cars there. We would race till the end of the season, take a week off. We were back to the shop 7 days a week until the 1st of March, building cars for the next season. And then we go start testing about a month before race season and be ready to go. Some of them were great cars, and we won a lot of races with them. Some of them, they wouldn't get out of their own way, you know, you never really knew. But it was so amazing because, I mean, we built our own cars, and yes, we had Cosworth engines and Offis and stuff like that, but we built our own engines in-house. We developed our own engines, had cams made, rods, pistons, everything, to make our Cosworth engine or our Offie a little bit better than the other guys. So that's kind of gone from it.
And that, I mean, that's, you know, I had, you know, I think up ideas and stuff. It'd be cool to have, okay, you buy a Dallara safety cell, and then you can build everything else for it. You know, and then, okay, I can go get a Chevy or a Honda and build it myself, do a little innovation. You know, like when the IRL first came out, you know, I mean, it was you had the Oldsmobile and you had I think it was the Nissan. And, you know, he was able to do all kinds of development on the Oldsmobile engine, you know, that didn't turn into the Chevy. But it's, you know, you had different engine builders. You know, it allowed for creativity. And
You can't go in and change the Honda engine right now?
No,
I know, they're sealed up for good.
Yeah, I mean, you're not allowed to fire your own car up without a Honda guy.